Hello, this is Champions in the Time of COVID-19, tracing paths to recovery in Ibero-America. Building upon prior analysis of gender equality champions, we use qualitative case analysis to examine the COVID-19 response of prominent Chilean epidemiologist Jimena Aguilera, a public health champion in Ibero-America. Just as Garcia Marquez's novel Love in the Time of Cholera tells a tale of hope, meaning, and reckoning in the life course, we believe that this case study of a champion of the wicked problem of COVID-19 offers hope, meaning, and reckoning for the advancement of infectious disease control in Ibero-America and beyond. In this case, we consider the work of Jimena Aguilera, a noted Chilean public health advocate and World Health Organization advisor. She's been engaged in international infectious disease response since the 1990s, including SARS, H1N1, dengue, and cholera outbreaks. She currently coordinates the advisory committee to the Chilean government in a community service capacity and provides weekly recommendations for COVID-19 related challenges. In this presentation, we describe the characteristics of wicked problems and link this set of characteristics to the COVID-19 pandemic using an emerging theory of champions of gender equality to analyze the case. We conclude with implications for society and theory. Rattel and Weber describe many characteristics that differentiate wicked problems from tame problems, and we assess these characteristics in relation to the pandemic. First, wicked problems have no definitive formulation. COVID-19 is an infectious disease for which all of the characteristics and long-term outcomes are not known. Second, wicked problems have no stopping rule. There is no clear-cut point at which the problem has been solved. In this pandemic, it is uncertain if this disease can be fully eradicated, and even if COVID-19 is effectively managed, the broad risk of infectious disease is not solved by solving COVID-19. Third, solutions to wicked problems are not true or false, rather they are good or bad. While a vaccine may be our best hope to eradicate this disease, a vaccine is not a true or false solution to COVID-19, since public compliance with vaccination and any vaccine's ability to stop future outbreaks is unknown. Also, solving wicked problems is a one-shot operation without the luxury of learning from trial and error. Any trial and error in the fight against COVID-19 comes at the very real and high cost of human lives. Based upon Rattel and Weber's theory, we conclude that COVID-19 is a wicked problem. Our study draws from the 2020 work of Wagstaff and collaborators on champions of gender equality. We apply the framework derived from analysis of a gender equality champion to a different type of wicked problem, COVID-19. Wagstaff and collaborators consider champions of gender equality as a function of three characteristics. Depth of embracement involves skills, motivation, and opportunities geared toward improving societal standing. Scope of embracement channels thoughts and actions to others and encompasses advocacy, networks, and giving or receiving support. Leverage of embracement is defined as the pulling and pushing mechanisms enacted to shape policies and procedures and includes strategy, power, and policy as its main content domains. Our data for this case analysis was a 1-hour semi-structured interview conducted and recorded on May 12, 2020. We gathered information published on Jimena Aguilera in Chilean media outlets to form the interview questions and provided the questions to her in advance. The interview was conducted in Spanish and analyzed using methodology drawn from Joya, Corley, and Hamilton. The first and second author conducted a first-order coding of the main topics revealed by the interview and compared this with the emergent theory of champions of gender equality. They performed a second-order coding and analysis, going back and forth between the current findings, the emergent theory, and relevant literature. The first and second authors assessed and questioned each of the codes until they reached complete agreement. After reaching agreement, the selected excerpts were professionally translated from Spanish to English, and the third author evaluated the translated excerpts by critically assessing each code. In our analysis, we grouped the content into the three aggregate dimensions of a champion: depth, scope, and leverage of embracement. We looked for these aggregate dimensions in the case while remaining open to adding to or adjusting our original coding. We present analysis of each of the aggregate dimensions and contrast this case with the theoretical framework. Depth of embracement is the first dimension of our emergent theory, and the first theme we observed is skill. Skill centers on the first-order concept of adapting to circumstances. In Gender Equality Champions, a first-order theme of balancing work and family was also noted, but we did not observe that during this interview. The second theme in this dimension was motivation, which according to our emergent theory involves two first-order concepts, persisting in order to succeed and driven by justice, or the need to attain fair treatment for all. Aguilera's description of various events helped us reformulate this subdimension from persisting in order to succeed to persisting in order to solve the problem. We regarded the first-order concept driven by justice to be an attribute of gender equality and relabeled the concept to driven by community well-being. Again, Aguilera provided several examples of her drive to better her community and others around the world. Reflecting on her exposures to various outbreaks, she stated, "So each field experience enriches you with the different issues faced during epidemic situations and the crucial elements facing a crisis." The final theme of this dimension is resolution and engagement, which involves two first-order concepts, confronting the problem, in this case the pandemic, and reflecting or seeking solutions from other experiences in order to solve the current problem. Aguilera gave several examples of times when she confronted outbreaks around the world. In seeking solutions to better communities, she drew from previous outbreak experiences to solve problems in the present one. We conclude that there is ample evidence for Aguilera's depth of embracement. Scope of embracement involves three second-order themes: advocacy, network, and support. Advocacy involves two first-order concepts: advocating for the community and voicing community concerns, in this case health-related concerns. In relation to advocating for the community, she says, "You don't transfer the responsibility to anyone. You take responsibility and guarantee a response to something that can't have an answer." Regarding the dimension of networks, Aguilera pointed to both building organizational connections and engaging with national and international liaisons. With respect to building organizational connections, she described strengthening connections within her current organizational structure and highlighted the national and international connections in her COVID-19 work. We also discussed her previous international connections in different international institutions and countries, including China, Vietnam, Singapore, Latin America, and the United States. The third subdimension of scope of engagement is support, which includes mentoring and giving and receiving support. In terms of mentoring, Aguilera described the mentors that shaped her own professional identity. She also mentioned how the support she received from professionals from other specializations enriched her own work. We conclude that Aguilera demonstrates each theme of scope of embracement. The final dimension of a champion, leverage of embracement, involves strategy, power, and policy. Strategy has two first-order concepts: questioning and disrupting the status quo. In questioning the status quo, Aguilera described advising the government during times of political turbulence, such as Chile's recent resignation of the health minister. In disrupting the status quo, Aguilera provided examples of channels for disruption and building better responses to crises. The theme of power involves two first-order concepts: claiming power and sensitizing. Aguilera's claim for power depicts expertise, or how her knowledge and skills regarding topics related to infectious diseases influence strategic decisions of the Chilean government. In sensitizing, she turns to coordinated action by experts and describes the challenges of preparing recommendations. The final theme is policy, which includes two concepts: organizing action and policy development. In organizing action, Aguilera describes coordinating efforts across Latin America as a staff member of the Pan American Health Organization. I had that kind of stress when I was in Washington because I oversaw the technical response of the entire Americas with regard to pandemics. There was a situation in Central America when there was not even a diagnosis, and we had to bring virologists from another place. Besides, we had to bring people from Portugal so they could visit over there and set up health clinics in each country. That was even more stressful because there we were at the front line. Finally, she develops policy recommendations or protocols, including protocols for the organization in which she currently works. We conclude that Aguilera demonstrates the characteristics of leverage of embracement. We examined the characteristics of a champion in the time of COVID-19 and found that Aguilera demonstrates depth, scope, and leverage of embracement. This case study helps us sharpen our understanding of what society needs in a champion of a highly complex, wicked problem such as this. There are several theoretical implications of this work. To continue building an emergent theory of champions of wicked problems, we consider replication logic, or the view that each case serves as a distinct experiment, as a necessary step in conceptualizing this important role in society. The characteristics of champions we observe closely relate to theories of champions in organizational settings as developed by past scholarship. We find key similarities to and differences from Taylor and collaborators' process model of champion leadership and Howell and collaborators' work on champions of innovation. Our work is not without limitations, of course. Because we focus on a single case, future work must analyze champions facing other types of wicked problems, such as poverty, hunger, economic uncertainty, political confrontation, turbulence, unequal access to education, water scarcity, or climate change, in order to critically examine this theory by conducting empirical and conceptual replications across countries and cultures. Wicked problems exist in almost every facet of human society, and the COVID-19 pandemic epitomizes the definition of a wicked problem. In this global pandemic, champions are uniquely suited to defining, analyzing, and contributing to solving a wicked problem that has claimed hundreds of thousands of lives and threatens millions more. Our case analysis of the response of Chilean epidemiologist Jimena Aguilera confirms and refines our emerging theory about champions facing wicked problems. Thank you.